basketball guys, we have news. Let's go to more news from the Golden State Warriors, but before that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Draymond Green has declared that any Warriors player should be traded, and he is a serious candidate to be sent to another team in exchange for a new star. Rumors: Warriors are interested in negotiating with the New Orleans Pelicans and bringing in star Zion Williamson. Acquiring a New Orleans Pelicans superstar who could be on the move this season may help the Warriors change their status. Let's assume that Rick Celebrini and the Golden State medical staff can work their magic on the former number 1 overall pick, Blue Man Hoops Peter O'Keefe wrote Wednesday. Does he actually make sense from an on-court fit standpoint within Steve Kerr's system? Perhaps the Warriors just go after a young 25-point career scorer and work the rest out later, but acquiring Williamson would still leave many of the same concerns the franchise is facing with their current roster. Golden State want to give Jonathan Kuminga over 30 minutes per game, but to do that they must ask Draymond Green to play a considerable amount of time as a small ball center. That not only hampers their defense somewhat, but it also puts a major physical toll on their veteran forward. Bringing Williamson in would create the exact same issue. Without the presence of a stretch 5 on the roster, Kerr would be left to play Green and Williamson together for significant minutes in an undersized front court. This also assumes that Kuminga is in the trade, with absolutely no chance that you could have all three on the roster together. Given you need a significant salary in order to reach the $36.7 million Williamson makes this season, perhaps the Warriors would need to consider the incredibly controversial idea of sacrificing Green in the trade. There is the thought that Kuminga could play more at the 3 with a floor-spacing 5 out on the floor with him. In this scenario, the number 1 priority would be acquiring one either before the deadline or during the offseason, leaving a front court of Kuminga, Williamson, and whatever stretch big they can get their hands on. Either way, one of Kuminga or Green would have to be moved in a Williamson trade, and given the financial complications, perhaps it makes more sense for it to be the 34-year-old franchise legend instead of the 22-year-old upstart. While the Pelicans would love to keep Williamson around for the long haul, the two-time All-Star's fragility makes it nearly impossible. Entering the 2024-25 campaign, Williamson was reportedly in tremendous shape and preparing to remind the NBA world he's still an exceptional talent. Unfortunately, Williamson hasn't been able to shake a frustrating left hamstring injury, which has forced him to miss over 20 contests. The Duke product averages 22.7 points on 45.2% field goal shooting this year, but he hasn't appeared in an NBA game since November 6. The Warriors, desperate for a big-time backcourt or frontcourt contributor, may pursue Williamson before the February 6 trade deadline passes. However, the organization will likely attempt to craft a trade package that doesn't include a multi-dimensional 4-time NBA champion in Green. Draymond Green's official injury status for 76ers Warriors. The Golden State Warriors started off the 2024-25 season as one of the best teams in basketball. Despite losing Klay Thompson this offseason and many questioning if this team had any real scoring threats outside of Stephen Curry, they got out to 12-3 record to begin the season with players like Andrew Wiggins and Buddy Hield making a big impact. Unfortunately, since then, the team has looked completely different. With a 3-7 record over their last 10 games, it's been the exact opposite for Golden State's Thursday night opponent, the Philadelphia 76ers. After getting off to a horrendous start this year, the Sixers sit half a game back from the 10th seed to bring themselves back into the playoff picture. With a chance to do so tonight, Philadelphia will seemingly have to deal with Draymond Green, despite his appearance on the injury report. According to the Golden State's injury report, Green is probable for Thursday night's matchup with a left lower back contusion. Green was available for Golden State's last contest against the Cleveland Cavaliers but has missed 4 games for the Warriors this season. After a strong 12-3 start to the season, the Golden State Warriors have now dropped 13 of their last 17 and find themselves at a crossroads. Without some sort of blockbuster trade or major shakeup to their roster, the Warriors feel like a team destined for the play-in tournament. Considering how the Warriors lost in the play-in tournament last year, one would have to think that they'd be desperate to avoid similar back-to-back situations. The Warriors have been linked to Nikola Vucevic, Zach LaVine, or Brandon Ingram. Landing one of these players would certainly qualify as a blockbuster trade and potential game-changer. However, there is reportedly even a higher-profile player who could be available and could be a fit for the Warriors, Zion Williamson. Now, of course, Williamson comes with a frightening amount of risk, but along with that risk comes a nearly unparalleled amount of potential reward. Sitting in the cellar of the highway competitive Western Conference, the New Orleans Pelicans are in the midst of a lost season. At just 5-28, the Pelicans finally seem ready to wave the white flag on both the season and the Zion era as a whole. In exchange for Williamson, the Warriors could offer a compelling package revolving around Jonathan Kuminga, giving the Pelicans a highly tantalizing new young wing to build around. Former number 1 overall pick Zion Williamson linked to the Warriors. Analyzing Zion Williamson's fit with the Warriors. At least from an offensive perspective, there's no denying Zion Williamson's fit in Golden State would be ideal. His bruising interior presence would do wonders in contrast with the gravity and spacing provided by the perimeter shooting of the Warriors. It would truly be a nightmare-inducing venture for opposing teams to try to scheme up how best to defend the Warriors with a paint scorer the caliber of Williamson. Despite the less-than-ideal spacing Williamson often found himself surrounded by in New Orleans, when healthy, he has still proven himself to be one of the most efficient and prolific interior scorers since Shaquille O'Neal. Additionally, given Williamson's proclivity for playmaking, he would more than likely excel in many of the short-roll decision-making positions that the Warriors often place Draymond Green in. On the less glamorous side of the floor, the addition of Williamson would be a bit less seamless. Thus far during his career, the former first overall pick in the 2019 draft has failed to live up to expectations on the defensive end. Williamson's block rate and steals rate both leave a bit to be desired, and his effort has occasionally been drawn into question. Nevertheless, Williamson, when healthy, has shown defensive improvement in recent years. The motivation of playing for a championship-aspiring team in the Warriors could go a long way in dialing in Williamson's focus and intensity. Also, despite being undersized, Williamson has demonstrated, for decent stretches of time, an ability to make an impact as a small ball 5, which could unlock some potentially menacing lineups for coach Steve Kerr. Unfortunately for Zion and the Warriors, the health risks that come along with the former Duke star are likely too great for the Golden State to take on. When healthy, Williamson is one of the most unique and game-plan-altering players in the entirety of the NBA, but he's just rarely been able to maintain that level of play for long enough due to injuries. Despite the theoretically dynamic on-court fit with Williamson, the Warriors will more than likely feel the need to pursue more of a sure thing. Whether a result of dietary shortcomings, lack of conditioning, or overly rambunctious style of play, Williamson's continued inability to be available is truly one of the great tragedies of the NBA in the 2020s. While it's fun to theorize and speculate about the potential fit of Williamson with the Warriors, what would be even more fun would be to just see him healthy, with any team.